When our troops come back from overseas, they often have wounds that go way beyond the physical, wounds that make it very hard to adjust to civilian life. Now there's a new program that helps ease this transition in an unusual way. Corporal Avnish Arora spent 4 years in the Marines, all of it in the chaotic and violent Iraqi city of Fallujah.
It was shock after shock after shock after shock.
Today, he's in his 4th year at Rutgers University in New Jersey, where life is considerably calmer. However, the psychological wounds still run deep. Avnish has been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
I'm constantly on high alert, extremely irritable. Sometimes I surpass anger and go straight to rage.
But now he's getting some help from an unlikely source. Avnish recently brought home Brian, a Labrador retriever specially trained to help PTSD patients like himself. They study together, they go to class together. Brian is a constant source of comfort.
He is making me feel less anxious, a little more calmer in certain environments, and a little more comfortable to be in some places if I am by myself, because I have him now.
Brian was trained by Puppies Behind Bars, one of many organizations across the country working to help veterans. The dogs are taught by prison inmates, and when they're ready, the pups are matched with patients who also have to learn the basics of living with their new service dog. This therapy is so new that doctors are just starting to understand why and how it works.
A lot of people suffering from PTSD have what's called hypervigilance. You know, if you've been around dogs, you know that if they're frightened or alert, their tails will go up, their ears will perk up. The dog can give a cue, which I think is enormously helpful.
Avnish says the difference is remarkable.
There's no more fear of, who's going to get me, I can't see them coming, or being alone.
A surprising, healing match between canine and Marine. Joining me now from Boston to talk more about this is the author and journalist Sebastian Junger. You may know him from his book, The Perfect Storm, but he's also a veteran war correspondent as well. So, Sebastian, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So I understand you've been involved in this program, Dog Tags, which gives the dogs to returning veterans. As we said in the piece, we still don't know, doctors still don't know exactly why or how this seems to help veterans, but what are your insights into what might be going on here?
Well, I think this is kind of a frontier science at the moment. It's such an innovative program. I've spent a lot of time with soldiers. They're very well trained, and their sense of security and safety comes from the fact that they're with each other in a unit and that they have weapons. And I think one of the things that's very difficult for soldiers who come back and return to society is suddenly they don't have either source of security. They're obviously not carrying a weapon, and they're not in their unit. And so I think what happens is the dog provides both of those things. I mean, the dog's a companion, but also, in a sense, a dog's a weapon. I mean, everyone knows that a dog will defend his owner.
It's an incredible program, and as you said, sort of frontier science. You know firsthand from some pretty harrowing experience of your own what it's like to be a troop overseas right now. You spent a lot of time in Afghanistan, a year, in fact, if I understand it, for a new documentary. I want to show a quick clip of it and then ask you about it. Here's the clip.
For the first few months of the deployment, we'd get rocked hard. They'd ambush us at 360 degrees.
Did everybody from the entire country come to this valley? Is nobody else fighting anymore? Is every bad guy in my face?
As I said, harrowing. I understand you were following a platoon for a year in a remote part of Afghanistan. The movie's called Restrepo. Can you tell us a little bit about where you were?
My first day at Restrepo, the position was attacked 4 times by the enemy. There was something like 400 the guys I was with were in something like 400 firefights during their deployment. It was the most combat at the time in the entire country of Afghanistan.
You've been around the block. You've covered wars before. Did this story change you at all? Have there been lasting impacts on you personally?
This is the first time I'd been with a small unit in great isolation for long lengths of time. So there was a bond that developed in that unit, which was very, very powerful, and I was sort of included in that. By the end of the year, I really felt like I was part of the platoon. And I think that's one of the things that's very hard for soldiers. They get back to civilian life, and as bad as combat was, they miss it. What they miss is the the fraternal bond, the brotherhood that exists in a situation like that.
The New York Times has called it a heroic piece of journalism, and we appreciate you coming on this morning to talk about it. Sebastian Junger, thank you.
My pleasure.